try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain, pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane, pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, your check as I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they see me. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they try the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions and the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes. Take off from a break off from the weak minds, they can stay soft. You can change lives, you create thoughts, never waste time. You got one shot, you got one life, better pop off. What do you like? Make a dream job. No 9-5, no mean boss, just my life and free thoughts. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands.
What up, Finn fans? Welcome to an episode of the Finn Posse Podcast. I'm your host, Big C, and this is brought to you by Hardcore Sports Network. Listen, Hardcore Sports Network's got everything you need. Come check them out. Whether you're an Eagles fan, basketball, football, wrestling, we got it all. Come check it out. But yeah, this is my first time on the Hardcore Sports Network, and I want to discuss the Miami Dolphins, the state of the franchise, what's going on, the NFL draft that's rapidly approaching, some free agency moves that we've made. So if you're a Fins fan, make sure you take a seat, pop in the chat, and you got something to talk about. Let's talk about it. Thanks, Mitch. Appreciate it. Yeah, but let's get into it. The Miami Dolphins last year finished the season not in a good way. We kind of got blown out the last week of the year by the Jets. We were fighting for that final playoff spot all the way to the final week until the Chiefs played all their backup players and let the Denver Broncos just destroy them. Listen, I think that's an absolute joke. I mean, we talk about tanking in sports and letting other teams win. That's exactly what the Kansas City Chiefs did for the Denver Broncos. I know that they were trying to rest players and this and that, but you should still have to put a team on the field that can compete. You still got to try. But regardless, then we had issues with Tyreek. Tyreek pulled himself out the game. He didn't want to be interviewed at the end of the season, and they kind of forced him into it. He said some stuff about no longer being with the team, that he wanted to be traded, which created a bunch of drama. Chris Greer has done a horrible job as the GM of the Miami Dolphins, missing on draft pick after draft pick. Mike McDaniel, he seemed like he was the next great head coach of the Miami Dolphins, but he can't adjust. He can't adjust. He just doesn't seem like he can adjust when things aren't going his way. If the game plan that he comes into the week with is working out, it's rock and roll. We look like a superb football team. But if we experience a hiccup, it just ends up going all downhill. And he doesn't know how to make the necessary changes at halftime or in between quarters. So there's that. And then of course, everybody's favorite topic, whether you're a lover or a hater, Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins, one of the most polarizing names in all of sports. Listen, it's absolutely crazy how much attention Tua gets and how much he divides a fan base. He absolutely divides little streaming issue there. Sorry about that. Uh um this is my take on Tua. Now if you've caught me I think Tua is a good quarterback. Miami. I think Tua can win a Super Bowl. My major beef with Tua Tagovailoa is Tua's health. Tua's health. You can't rely on Tua year in, year out, week to week, and that's not okay. That's not okay, and that's why I feel like we shouldn't have gave him that contract extension. That we need to be actively looking for an upgrade at the quarterback position. Now, if you ask the Tua haters, Tua's the worst quarterback in the world. He can only throw 10-yard passes. He can't do anything right. Yes, the Tua lovers, it's everybody else's fault. Listen, I'm not a Tua lover. I'm not a Tua hater. Again, I think Tua can win us games with the right surroundings, with the right pieces in place. I think Tua is a top 12, 13 quarterback in this league. But Tua definitely needs the right pieces in place, like a lot of quarterbacks do. Most quarterbacks need superb rosters to win. There's only a handful of elite quarterbacks in this league. There's only a handful. You got Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Some will throw Joe Burrow in there. I'm not as Joe Burrow's good. He had a great year last year. I'm not one of those guys that is so in love with Joe Burrow, but he's a good quarterback. He's got the tools to succeed. Tua can't overcome the bad offensive lines or the bad defenses like a lot of these quarterbacks can. Josh Allen can go in and win games almost single-handedly, it seems. Patrick Mahomes, the same thing. Look at his receiving core over there. A bunch of guys that you've never heard of or has-beens, taking them to multiple Super Bowls. Tua's not that guy. And I think fans, because he's not that guy, think he's a failure. And you can't base whether a guy's a success or a failure based on the top 2 or 3 guys in the whole NFL. You just can't. Now the people that hate Tua will say, hey, we've given him great teams. We've given him great teams. I fight back. I fight back against that. Have we given him Tyreek Hill? Yeah. Jalen Waddle? Yeah. Nice weapons. But we've never built this team. Built this team the way the perfect example is the Philadelphia Eagles. They showed the world so much this year. They showed the world so much. You draft properly. That's first and foremost. You don't get in salary cap hell because you're out signing a bunch of free agents to make up for the draft picks that didn't work out. And then also you got to draft at the right positions. We go out and get a Tyreek Hill and draft a Jalen Waddle. But our offensive line has been in shambles for years. Our general manager and coach were in complete denial last year about how terrible our offensive line was. Well, we get rid of the ball quickly. It's a quick snap offense. But that's not the point. That's not the point. The offensive line does so much more than just block for their quarterback. We couldn't run the ball effectively. This offensive line could not create holes. They could not create holes. We could not run the ball properly. So what were defenses doing? They were rushing 4 at us. With 4 rushers, they were getting pressure on the quarterback. They were stopping the run. And what happens when you only got to rush 4? What happens when you only got to rush 4? That means you have 7 other players that can drop in the coverage. What's the meat and potatoes of this team? We got one of the fastest rosters in all of the NFL. We're taking the top off defenses. Well, guess what? If you don't have to rush more than 4, them safeties can play too deep. When the safeties are playing too deep, there ain't no throwing the ball deep. There ain't no throwing it long. Them safeties are there to cover it. Corners are able to come up and put hands on our smaller receivers. Why? Because they got help. These corners got help. And they know if Tua's not getting rid of the ball within 3 seconds, he's in duress. The defensive line got him in duress because the offensive line is horrible. If we were able to run the ball, it would open everything back up. It would open everything back up. Now, mind you, when Tua was out last year, we were absolutely horrible. We had trouble getting first downs. Literally, 10 points a game we were averaging. We couldn't beat anybody. We were terrible. When Tua came back, this is the difference between Tua and an average quarterback. This is how you know Tua is good. Tua is a good quarterback. When Tua was out, we're averaging 10 points a game. Tua comes back, we're averaging just under 25 for the whole season. Well, Tua can't win in big games. Tua can't win in cold weather. Listen, it all comes back to the trenches, folks. It all comes back to the trenches. How do good teams win? They can run the ball. They can stop the run. We're bad on both sides of the trenches. Offense, defensive line, we're bad on both sides. How do you win in cold weather? You run the ball. You stop the run. When it's 10 degrees out and snowing, you're not throwing the ball 50 times, typically. You're not throwing the ball 50 times. You got to run the ball. If you're unable to run the ball because your offensive line is horrible, what is Tua to do? What is Tua to do? Tua has had, out of the 5 years he's been here, he's had one good year of offensive line play, and it was only for half a year. 2023, we had Connor Williams at center. We had Robert Hunt at right guard. We had Austin Jackson at right tackle. At left guard, we had Isaiah Wynn, and at left tackle, we had Armstead. We had a good offensive line. You know what this offense did? We were just the number 1 offense in all of football. We scored 70 points on the Denver Broncos. We had a 5-game lead on the Buffalo Bills in the division. That's what a good offensive line with Tua Tagovailoa did. That's what we did. We was up 5 games on the division, number 1 offense in all of football. Tyreek Hill was fighting for 2,000 yards receiving, which had never been done. We had 20-something rushing touchdowns. We were phenomenal. Now, the Tua haters will lead you to believe Tua cost us at the end of the season. We just started losing games. No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened. And any real Dolphins fan that watched any amount of games will tell you, will absolutely tell you what happened. If you can look at it and not be biased, what happened was we got hurt. We got demolished by injuries. We got absolutely demolished by injuries. And I know every team suffers injuries. I know this. I know that. I understand that. And I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just spitting facts. And every team sustains injuries. But the amount of injuries we had, listen, our whole offensive line was hurt. The whole offensive line. Not one of them played over 9 games. Our star corner had to miss the rest of the year. Our star safety, Javon Holland, at the time, had 2 bad knees, was missing games. We didn't have a pass rusher on the team. Jalen Phillips, my fault. Jalen Phillips tore his Achilles, was out for the year. Tore his Achilles, was out for the year. Andrew Van Ginkel, out for the year. Cameron Good, out for the year. Bradley Chubb, out for the year. That was our 4 pass rushers, all out for the year. Every one of them was out for the year. Tyreek Hill was dealing with an ankle injury. He got a horse collar, was never the same after that. Tell me how you come back from your starting corner, your starting safety, not having one pass rusher. We couldn't put no pressure on the quarterback. 0 pressure. Literally was playing guys off the street to try to rush the quarterback and couldn't do it. You had no offensive line to run the football. We ended up dropping 5 games. Buffalo Bills won the division. We ended up having to go to Kansas City playing negative 10-degree weather against the eventual world champions, and we lost. The only person that was able to stay healthy, which is crazy, is Tua Tagovailoa. Tua played every game that year. And then last year happened. We lost a couple players to free agency. They signed deals with new teams that were extreme, and we couldn't afford to re-sign them because Chris Greer's drafted so poorly throughout his career that we've had to go and sign big name free agents because he just drafts bust after bust after bust. We can't, and the talent that we do end up coming with away from the draft with, we can't afford to re-sign them. So last year happens. We win the first game. Tyreek Hill is tackled by police right before the first game outside the stadium. They tackle him. Tyreek has a broken wrist, turns out. He plays the whole year with the broken wrist. Plays the whole year. Now, you can be mad at what Tyreek did at the end of the year. He sat out the second half of the game against the Jets, a game that no longer mattered. He knew it no longer mattered because Denver just was destroying Kansas City. Kansas City put up no fight against Denver. He knew we were eliminated from the playoffs. He was frustrated in the fact that our offense has completely changed. He was frustrated with the fact that we weren't making the playoffs. He was frustrated with the fact that, he had given everything to this team and we weren't going to the playoffs. He was frustrated. So he made a dumb move. And then after the game, he made a dumb comment. Absolutely hold him accountable. But to hate the guy forever and not want him on your team anymore is asinine. It's asinine. Tyreek Hill is the best player we've had in Miami in years. He's bringing me more excitement in the last 20 years of Miami Dolphins football than than anybody else has. At least with Tyreek, I get excited for Sundays. I get excited when we're on the field. I feel like we have a chance to score on every play because of Tyreek Hill. And for fans want to trade him when financially it doesn't even make sense. If we trade Tyreek Hill, we're losing money. We're not going to get back what you think we're going to get back. We're losing money. We're not going to gain draft capital like that. We're just going to lose him and have to pay him. And you still want him gone because he sat out the second half of a meaningless game? That's crazy. But anyway, we go into last year. What happened? Second week of the season, Tua Tagovailoa, another concussion. Because Tua's the poster boy for concussions. You know, he was symptom free the whole time. If he was any other player in the NFL, he would have been back in 2 weeks. But because he's Tua and because he's the poster boy for concussions, they sat him out 5 weeks. Absolutely ridiculous. Trying to save face with the media. It's ridiculous. The media is always attacking the Miami Dolphins. Regardless, listen, if an independent neurologist clears Tua and says that he can play, leave the team alone and let him play. Who are you to scrutinize the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa if he wants to play and he's cleared to play? Who are you? But anyway, Tua misses 5 games. Tua comes back. We're behind the 8 ball. We're multiple games back. We go on a little bit of a winning streak after Tua gets the feel for the game back. Tua's got us looking pretty good. We're scoring points. The defense lets us down a little bit. When the defense ain't letting us down, Tua's not having his best game. It was just a struggle. And then at the end of the season, Tua gets another injury, a hip injury. Was it the same injury from college? Who knows? Because the Miami Dolphins didn't let us know anything about it. They would give us no information. Absolutely ridiculous. But folks, this is why Tua can't be the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. This is why we can't continue to move forward with Tua as the quarterback of the Miami Dolphins. And he's going to be the quarterback this year. There's no changing that. And I think Tua, if he can be healthy, can take this team and we can win a lot of games. But anyway, we finished last year outside the playoffs. A lot of people frustrated. Stephen Ross frustrated. He spent a lot of money bringing in free agents. He's continuously opened up his pocketbook, his checkbook, and allowed us to go and sign players and finagle the salary cap any way we can figure we can do it to help this team win. He says the status quo isn't good enough. The status quo isn't good enough. That what has been happening with this franchise is not good enough, and insinuates like there's going to be changes made if we don't improve. So as a fan, you think that big changes are coming. Chris Grier is going to go all out. We're going to go and get free agents to fill the holes that we need. Chris Grier finally admitted that the offensive line was an issue, finally admitted that the defensive line was an issue. So we're thinking he's going to spend big dollars. Big dollars. But what happens? Chris Grier doesn't spend shit. We sign a bunch of cheap players. Like, I don't get it. Now, we added some decent pieces, some decent ones that I was all right with. We brought Dotson back. Willie Gay Jr., I like that pickup. I think that's a good pickup. Former Kansas City Chief, former New Orleans Saint. I think he's a good backup. We go out and get Daniels from Pittsburgh to help with the offensive line. But after that, besides that, we have a bunch of holes on this team. And that's the best you can come up with. And I know we still got the NFL draft, and this is a deep draft and a lot of positions in need. But you can't possibly believe that we're going to be able to fill all the holes that we have and be competitive with only draft picks. We need another guard. Right now, Liam Eichenberg, for whatever reason, Chris Greer brought Liam Eichenberg back. He's the worst offensive lineman that we had on the team last year, and you re-sign him to a guaranteed contract, which is absolutely crazy. I don't get it. I don't get it. We need a guard. We need another guard, probably two guards. We need two defensive tackles. Two. In the defensive end, too. But we need two defensive tackles. They're hoping and praying that Calais Campbell comes back. But Calais Campbell is one of the oldest players in the league, even if he does come back. And why would he want to come back to a team? He's trying to chase a Super Bowl. Why would he want to come here when he's got offers from Baltimore? He's got, I'm hearing offers possibly from the Buffalo Bills. Why wouldn't he want to go join them? The Miami Dolphins must be pretty confident that he's going to come back because they're not addressing it. And yeah, there's a lot of big name prospects in this draft that can come in and be great for us. But they're still going to be rookies. There's still going to be a learning curve. I think we're good at linebacker. We've made enough signings at inside linebacker that I think we're good. I think we're good at pass rusher. We renegotiated Bradley Chubb's contract, was able to bring him back. Jalen Phillips hopefully comes back from his knee injuries. We got Chop Robinson at the second half of the year, started to come on for us. I think we're good at pass rusher. Corner, we need at least one starting corner. We got Cater Kohu in the slot. We got Jalen Ramsey at one corner. The other corner, we released Fuller, which I think was a stupid move. Fuller played solid for us last year. If you wanted to upgrade on Fuller, cool, but wait till you get the upgrade. At least wait till you get an upgrade before you let him go. And then we need two safeties. Now, we've signed two safeties. We brought another one back that was on the team last year. I don't feel like Ashton Davis, former New York Jet, is a starter. Or a Fitu from the Lions. I don't know if he's a starter. Not to mention, a Fitu is always injured. Always. He's been injured more games than he's played. In his career, he's been injured more games than he's played. So you need two safeties, a corner, two defensive tackles. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Two guards. That's 6, 7. That's 7 players. We got 10 picks. You're telling me Chris Greer's gonna hit home runs on 7 picks? And yeah, there is gonna be another little small free agency period. There always is. After the draft, teams release players. I'm sure we add a couple players then. But my belief is if we want to compete this year, we got to add 4 starters from this draft. And I just don't trust Chris Greer to be able to do it. There's enough players in this draft to do it. I've went over them. I've studied them. There's definitely 4 players in this draft that can help us win immediately. And trust me, if we can fix the offensive line, we can get this offense back to a top 10 offense. We can get back to being a top 5 offense. Our defense was a top 10 ranked defense last year. without having a pass rush. If Anthony Weaver can get the same amount of players and you add a pass rush to it, we should have a top 10 defense, a top 5 offense, top 10 defense. We improved the punter position. Hopefully we got better special team play because we replaced the coach over there. We have an opportunity. But again, it all comes back to Tua Tagovailoa and him staying healthy. Because if Tua goes down, there goes our season. There goes our season. Because guess what? We needed a backup quarterback. And what did Chris Greer and the Miami Dolphins do? We went and signed Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson was the answer to your quarterback problems. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Give me a break. Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is the answer. Now, the guy is super talented. He's super talented physically. He's mobile. He's got a rocket for a right arm. He's super talented. I just don't think he has it between the ears. I really don't. And then you give him a $6 million 1-year deal, fully guaranteed. That's crazy. That's crazy money for a 1-year deal for Zach Wilson. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. 4 players I think that could really help us in this draft. If we can get these 4 players, it's going to take some wheeling and dealing from Chris Greer. It's going to take some wheeling and dealing. You're going to have to trade down in the first round. I feel you trade down in the first round, but you're going to have to trade up in the second round. And you're probably going to have to trade up in the third round. You're going to have to make some moves. You're going to have to make some moves. But I think if we can go and we trade back to 22nd, 23rd, 24th pick, maybe pick up an extra second round pick, an extra third round pick. You go and you get Kenneth Grant, defensive tackle, Michigan. People are talking Will Johnson, corner from Michigan. People are talking about Nick Emawari, safety from South Carolina. No. You got to address the trenches first. Address the trenches first. Follow the Philadelphia Eagles, what they did. We got a talented running back that's getting wasted. Achane is a talented running back. And you want to know what an offensive line can do for a running back? All you got to do is go look at them Philadelphia Eagles again. Look at what Saquon was doing with the New York Giants. Look what Saquon Barkley, one of the most talented running backs in all of football, was doing with the New York Giants. Not much. Not much because they had a terrible offensive line. He goes to Philadelphia, 2,000 yards rushing, Super Bowl champion. Come on. We got to fix the offensive line. I don't think the Miami Dolphins addressed the offensive line first or second round, because they went out and signed James Daniels from the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think they're all right with that pick, and they'll address it later on. But defensive tackle, we have none. We have none. And if Calais decides not to come back to us, we're in big trouble. Kenneth Grant is a monster of a human being, 360 pounds, runs a sub 540, just a superb player. You go and you get him in the first round. You go and you get him in the first round. And then you trade back up. You trade back up early second, and you grab one of the safeties, either Nick Emawari or Malachi Starks. Nick Emawari, South Carolina, or Malachi Starks, Georgia. Emawari is more of strictly a safety, a hard-hitting, big, strong, run-stopping safety. Malachi Starks is more of a hybrid, slot corner, free safety. Either one are going to be big upgrades for the Miami Dolphins in that safety position. At the safety position. With your third pick, which should be another second rounder. We use one of those second rounders that we gained from trading back in the first round. Our second rounder, you go and you get Amos, corner, Ohio State. This kid is super talented. He can be a lot down corner in a couple of years, but he'll help this team immediately. With your other third round pick, you go out and you get another defensive tackle. Deion Walker, Kentucky. Animal. He's an animal. There, you just shored up your defensive tackle, your defensive line for the next 10 years. You just clogged the middle of your defensive line for the next 10 years. You just shored it up for the next 10 years. And then after that, you got to get some offensive linemen. You got to add some offensive linemen to this team. Some offensive linemen to this team. I like. Where's it? Where's my handy dandy notebook information? I'd resign Isaiah Wynn if I was the Miami Dolphins too. I think he could be absolutely phenomenal for us. Late round offensive linemen I'd target. I would target Luke Kendra. Check him out. Luke Kendra, Clay Webb, and another guy who's absolutely phenomenal. He's undersized, but if he was 3 inches taller and weighed 20 more pounds, he'd be a first round pick. Willie Lempkin, North Carolina. You gotta go get him. If we get Willie Lempkin in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, it'll be one of these, baby. Oh! Yes, sir! That's what I'll be doing. Yeah. What? We get Willie Lempkin, I'll be like, man, we got to get me some Willie Lempkin. He'd be absolutely phenomenal for us. Listen, we can turn it around. We can really be Super Bowl. We can win this division. The Buffalo Bills aren't stacked like that. They're just better than us at quarterback. Josh Allen. We got to stop Josh Allen. We got to slow Josh Allen down. But we showed when we had good offensive line, good defensive line, that we had a 5-game lead on the Buffalo Bills. And that's when the Buffalo Bills were a much more talented team. They were a more talented team at 23 than they were last year. And we had a 5-game lead on them. So if we shore up our offensive line, shore up this defensive line, and Chris Grier can make a couple more free agent signings, the Miami Dolphins have a real shot at being special this year. But again, it all comes back to Tua staying healthy. Can Tua stay healthy? It all comes back to that, folks. It all comes back to that. But let me know what you think in the comments. We'll be doing a mock draft here very, very shortly. And let me know what you think. Check it out. I'll be back in a few days to discuss the team unless something earth-shattering happens. You know, this is a slower time of the year. But if something earth-shattering comes, I'll be here to give you the breakdown on it. So make sure you check it out. I just hope Chris Grier doesn't draft some. He's known for drafting guys with potential that aren't necessarily ready to play. And if he does that, He better not. He just better not. But I'll talk to you next time, folks. Thanks for joining me on Hardcore Sports Network. The Hardcore Sports Network, where we bring you all the news from football to basketball to pro wrestling. I support my tribal chief. I rock out with a little wrestling. You know what I mean? I rock out with a little wrestling. I rock out. You gotta be the champ, you know what I mean? You gotta be the champ. I rock out a little bit. Woo! Yes, sir. You gotta be the WWE Universal Champion, World Champion, whatever it's called. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate y'all. Make sure to check me out on the Finn Posse podcast on YouTube. I do a morning show over there every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. So come over, check me out over there. Finn Posse podcast on Netflix, or not on Netflix. Finn Posse podcast on YouTube. Make sure you check it out. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for stopping in. And we will see you around the corner. See you around the bend. You know what it is. Fins up. Peace.
Try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less, your check as I'm chess, what's happening next, yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson, he got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take your redemption. Just kill, no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression, You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they're scheming. Better stand tall, ready for a fight, believe me. When they drive the chains, you can say no, free me. So he's been looking for somebody who could save him, instead of searching inside for what they gave him. A strong will, strong mind causes mayhem. We could change the world, change times, rearrange them. Staying on pace, running the race. Life is a chase, I don't want a place, I wanna be first. Work till it hurts, dehydrated thirst till I'm in a hearse. High ambitions in the right mind can take you so far. It's like you lived a few lifetimes.